All right, excellent afternoon out there. They say synergy is the realization that majority of our effort is greater than, and of course far more than enduring than the might of a single individual. Many nations complement each other based on the strength of one another to cover for the deficiency of each other. However, that brings us to the bilateral relationship between U.S. and Nigeria on today's show. Again, I say excellent afternoon to all those who are watching us across the states in Nigeria. You are welcome to another interesting episode of Real Talk with Kike. Of course, I remain the convener, Kike Atanda-Owo. And I have the Real Talk on the platform today. And Tefo, let me come to you first. How are you doing?
I'm good, Kike. Wear a smile. It's a good day to be alive.
Yeah.
Hello, Damilola. Good afternoon, viewer. Welcome to our long-time show. Join us in this conversation and let's get some deep knowledge into how affairs are run. My name is Efo.
Good afternoon, viewers from wherever you're having to watch us today. Another beautiful day. Please remember, it's not only for you to stay behind your phones or stay in your churches or your mosques to keep praying for Nigeria. You have to go out to vote. And to do that, you need to get your PVC, which closes on the 30th of this month. So please, if you want to change, let us make this change together. My name is Damlola Banire. Welcome to the show. Around
this day in history, the former Minister of Finance, Kemi Adeosun, said that 1.5 billion being excess bank charges was recovered and paid into the Federation account. And I think it's important for us to get the full gist on this day in history segment. Please stay with us. We'll be right back. All right, many thanks for staying with us on this day in history segment. Damlola, let me come to you for what's your take on it?
My take on the 1.5 excess bank charges being shared among 3 tiers of government, 2 sides to it, shared among 3 tiers of government, the federal, the local, and the state level. And we have money in Nigeria. We've gone, I tell people, we've gone past the stage of God bless Nigeria. God has blessed Nigeria. It's just for God to bless us with accountable and responsible leaders to do the right thing. Excess bank charges, on the other hand, a lot of people are clamoring that it's too much. Looking at these days where you have disappearance of even funds in the account, we pay too much for somebody to just sit down and siphon the money and we're not seeing anything. So yes, they get money, they share it amongst to benefit us, but are we really getting the benefit of all these funds?
All right. Therefore.
Well said. I will just only add to what Damlola has said, and I'll say I think it was just a period of discoveries by the then Minister of Aviation, Kemi Adeosun. And,
Minister of Finance.
Finance, sorry, thank you.
Finance.
And I will call it an equitable distribution of resources.
All right. Well said, both of you. It's time for a quick message from our sponsors. Please stay with us. We'll be right back.
We started our journey over 7 years ago, connecting travelers to their favorite destinations.
Since then, we have revolutionized how we want our passengers to feel while flying.
That is why we've introduced our brand new Embraer 195 E2 aircraft.
Everyone has a face they need to see. When
We are on a mission to add new destinations to our ever-increasing fleet.
Our Boeing 777 will take you on an international journey. Mumbai, Guangzhou, London, Johannesburg.
And now, Airpeace is adding a new destination.
On the 1st of March, Airpeace will begin a new adventure to a brand new destination. Join us as we celebrate our first flight to Dubai International Airport.
Airpeace flies you from all our domestic routes to Dubai from Lagos at no additional cost.
All right, many thanks for staying with us. On the show today, we have a special guest. He's as good as having the president of Joe Biden on the show because he represents the United States of America. However, we'll be talking about America, Nigeria, as long as the standing relationship with the country and the ties and bilateral relation is as old as the time of independence in Nigeria, yes. And of course, in terms of the republic in the country, how it has become, why some Nigerians may want to think that all that exists between both countries is about economic ties and borrowing of funds, because that's all that actually is in front of most of the news headlines when we talk about the bilateral relation. However, the answer is no. There is a lot more that is similar to all we shared, and the Consulate of America can be described by many as an office where immigration and visa processes are also done, but that's not the only thing as well. Such is not just the case, but in recent times the ties have actually stretched into many areas like agriculture, human capital development, and of course entrepreneurship, sports, education, name it, the list is endless. But guys, to discuss this nitty-gritty of the Nigerian-US bilateral relationship and the impact on both systems is the U.S. Consulate Public Affairs Officer, Stephen Ibeli. Let's go on a quick break to get his profile, to watch his profile. Stay with me. We'll be right back. Right, many thanks for staying with us. Of course, we have Stephen Ibeli. Thank you. You pronounced my name properly. Ibeli on the show today, and it's a pleasure to have you. I like to consider you as someone from United States right now who is representing Joe Biden on the show, because as far as I'm concerned, I feel that in your own capacity in American government, you are a representative of that. And absolutely. I say many thanks for being on the show today on our launch. So how are you doing? Let's start from there.
I'm doing great. It's great to be here. Thanks so much for the invitation.
Fantastic. So let's just go straight to the topic at hand, because I saw that you came prepared. You came with all sorts.
I came with my sports equipment, with my notes.
right, but before we get there, I think this will be more or less like one of the last questions I will be asking you. Let me start by asking you about many Nigerians that think about the United States in terms of oil, in terms of holiday visitation, in terms of business ties, and I feel that this is the perception that most of them have in terms of the relationship between Nigeria and the United States when you frame it largely on how security cooperation is between both countries. So my question to you now is that let's describe the U.S. Nigerian bilateral relationship. What's your take on this, and how with all you've been able to do in Nigeria today?
Sure. I mean, I think it's wider and deeper than that. Of course, there's a security relationship, but there's an economic relationship, there's a health relationship, education. There are so many ties that really bind us together. Nigeria has the highest immigration rates to the United States from Africa. It's the biggest democracy, it's the biggest economy in Africa. So there are a lot of ties there. More Nigerians study in the United States than any other students from Africa. Nigeria is the 10th largest sending country to the United States. And we're seeing that these ties are growing, especially in the creative space. Look at music. Look at the collabs between Nigerian artists and American artists. Film. I mean, look at Blood Sisters on Netflix, for example, and Amazon Prime. Those are great examples of that cooperation. The NBA just opened an office here just a couple of months ago. So you have a lot of that. Artists as well. Red Lake Gallery is now has an office in Ikoyi, but they also now have a gallery in Los Angeles. So you're seeing a lot of this growing ties and synergies between the two countries, and that's going to grow because outside of Nigeria, more Nigerians live in the United States than any other country. And I go around and sometimes ask people this, and they're like, "Oh, it's Canada. Oh, it's the UK. We even got Ukraine ones." But actually, really, the most Nigerians outside of Nigeria live in the United States.
Oh, that's great. Stephen, I'd like to ask you, I know that you're rounding up your official work here in Nigeria, having spent about 2 years plus.
Sniff, sniff, I know.
As a public affairs officer of the United States Consulate in Lagos, how's your experience been so far?
It's been really wonderful, very, very rewarding. We get to travel quite a bit in the South, so I've been to many cities in the South. Ibadan, Abeokuta, Benin City, Awka, Osogbo, yeah, it's the Sacred Grove. I mean, a wonderful city. Calabar is wonderful. So that's been a real rewarding experience, is meeting people outside of Lagos and really doing a lot of our work with our partners in all of these cities. You know, we have American spaces in many of these cities. We have relationships with many universities, many organizations in these cities. So it's great to get out and really we're met with a lot of excitement as well. Wow. I think I've been presented with my portrait about 4 times or so. So there's that, and there's just a great excitement and willingness to work with the United States, because I think, you know, outside of being a government, we're also a brand. Yeah. And so I think it is a trusted brand. People know that when we come to town, we're not charging necessarily money for things. We really do want to help, because at the end of the day, we're not a business. And so we don't have a profit margin, but we do have a return on investment. That return on investment for us is impact. Wow. And so that's what really we focus on at the consulate every day.
Wow, that's great.
It's so comforting hearing those words from you about us, the way we are. So I'd like to ask you now, how much does Nigeria's status as a stable and vital democracy in Africa, how much of it influences the relationship between Nigeria and the United States?
Oh, that's a great question, Emiafo. In general, I think, you know, Nigeria is the biggest democracy in Africa. And so we work very, very closely with our partners in civil society, with youth organizations, our sister agencies. The United States Agency for International Development really focuses on elections, but not necessarily, you know, who wins or who loses, but the process. The process, that it's free, that it's credible, and that it's violent-free. You know, and we were in Anambra during the elections, monitoring there, observing really, and you know, we saw one of the fairest elections that we've seen, and we're very hopeful for the presidential election. We work with INEC as well, our partners in the Agency for International Development work on that. So working on that process to make sure that every vote counts, that people register to vote, that they also, civil society is involved in the observing of those elections, in the reporting. It's all about transparency and it's all about accountability, and this is how you have a strong democracy, is building up those institutions, because a democracy is not about individuals. It's about the institutions, the strengths of those institutions.
All right, fantastic. I'm glad that you touched on the strong democracy, because as far as I'm concerned, I think it's important for me to ask, what is the U.S. government doing to strengthen the democratic institution and promote the good governance in Nigeria? Because I understand that, as far as I'm concerned, like you shared earlier, that you are more like a brand, you know. What's your take on this regarding the good governance in Nigeria?
No, absolutely. We work on this, you know, a lot through the consulate, through the embassy, through many, many different agencies. And really it's about working on, as I mentioned to Imiefo, the process, working on the process to make sure that people have a viable way for their vote to register, that civil societies are able to get in and observe elections, that there's factual reporting, that there's accountability in those elections. That's really, really, really important. We work on anti-corruption as well. That's always a very important. That's actually part of our national security strategy, because corruption can really erode those democratic institutions that I spoke about. Corruption can really go around or erode the foundations underneath those institutions. And so that's really what we work on through many of our different agencies through the U.S. government, because it's the consulate, but inside the consulate we have many different agencies. We have the FBI, we have the Foreign Agricultural Service, we have the Foreign Commercial Service, we have the Agency for International Development, the Centers for Disease Control, Walter Reed hospitals, which focus on medical and health aspects. So they're all here in Nigeria, and we're all working in concert with our Nigerian partners.
So I'm glad that you touched on that, because as far as I'm concerned, all these sectors that you're talking about, I still feel that one way or the other is being affected when it comes to the economy. So let's talk a little bit about the economy, because I feel that with the current state of situation in, will I say, U.S. Nigeria bilateral economic relations, I feel that with what we've just shared right now, the economy is being affected. Don't you think so?
Yeah, sure. Nigeria is our largest partner in Africa. There's over 10 billion in trade between the two countries. We work on growing that every day. You just saw a huge diaper factory open up in Ikorodu by Kimberly Clark, $100 million state-of-the-art. I mean, who knew you could make so much money from diapers, but you can. Everybody needs diapers, right? All families do. So, but that's...
You need diaper, right?
Well, there you go.
She knows what she's talking about.
That's right, a diaper expert here.
Oh, yes.
I myself too, when my kids were small, also, had, you always look at the diapers, but that's creating 1,000 jobs, 5,000 indirect jobs, for example. Burger King is here as well, a new franchise that opened up. So many companies, and this is what we try to do. We try to promote those American companies opening up here. We try to promote Nigerian companies also doing business in the United States and promoting that two-way trade. Exactly. That's really, really, really important.
Okay, looking at all of the agencies that you have under the United States, and I'd like to say it's a global topic around scarcity of food now.
Sure.
So what is the United States doing to support the food industry and agricultural business value chain in Nigeria? How is this mission supporting us?
Right. I mentioned the Foreign Agricultural Service.
Yes,
they work on agriculture full-time. And so they really they study sugar, they study wheat, and they advise and help also the Nigerian food agencies as well, and work really in close partnership. We've also had a number of interesting agricultural projects. In Ekiti State, they imported dairy cows from the United States. We couldn't ship the dairy cows by boat, so we flew them on the plane. Yeah. So we call them the flying dairy cows of Ekiti. But they're in Ekiti and they're producing over 10,000 liters a day of milk, for example. Yeah, it is really huge, especially fresh milk. And not only that, but we've also introduced through the Foreign Agricultural Service the cowpea. And so that also is helping with food security as well. So you can have your moi moi with the cowpea, for example, that we've introduced. Again, this is all in partnership with Nigerian partners. We never do We never do this in a vacuum, and this is why we are able to make a difference and have that impact, is because we work very, very hard working with our Nigerian partners.
Now let's talk about the Academy for Women Entrepreneurs.
My favorite topic, please.
Tell us about it. Tell us about it.
Thank you. Well, it's basically a training program. We recruit women that either that have a business idea or have a successful business running, and we train them how to grow their businesses through a course that was developed by the Thunderbird Graduate School of Management, one of the most highly regarded management schools in the United States. It's in Arizona. And they run through this course called Dreamweaver. And they also have experts that talk to them about building their business. And they network with each other. And so it's been very, very successful. We've had 520 graduates. We have a cohort now of 250. You can't imagine how many applications that we had. We had 17,000 applications for these 250 slots. And again, I think that speaks to the strength of the program. I think that also speaks to really the strength of the brand. That you're getting this training, and it's not that we're charging you. We want you to succeed. And these 520 women work in some very interesting fields. Some of these women have security companies. Some of them are recycling or upcycling, fashion, food, catering. So all these very, very different industries. And not only that, but they also really work together, and they network and they support each other. They started an alumni association on their own, so they're helping each other through this alumni association.
That's interesting.
We just had actually a launch in Ibadan for their alumni association that was today. And so we're continually trying to grow these networks, because again, it's about the partnerships. It's about all of, it really does take a village. And that's what we're trying to do, is sort of create that village.
All right, so talking about growing the network and creating a village, I just feel that in many countries, including Nigeria, women constitute nearly half of the population.
Absolutely.
But they are far from enjoying the equal rights and opportunities like they are the other gender. I don't know if I'm supposed to say that. But however, does the U.S. government, support women's inclusive participation in Nigeria society? Because, as you know, there are a lot of unequal opportunities right there, right now.
We focus really, really hard on that. And the reason why is because, and this is in statistics. I mean, you could read about this, you can look at the research. When women do better, families do better, communities do better, society does better. It's facts. So we really work on that. And through, for the Academy for Women Entrepreneurs, we have a Tech Women program, we have a Tech Girls program now, and we have other programs as well that really try to benefit women and promote not only their economic inclusion, but also their political inclusion as well. More women should run for office, more women should be politicians, more women should be CEOs, more women should be running all of these different sectors as well. And that's really, really important, I think, for the society writ large. You can't succeed. I mean, if you have half your team on the field, are you going to win the game? No. I mean, you need the full team. You need the whole team. So it's really just really common sense. But we really focus on that very, very, very much.
All right. Many thanks for that submission. Sure. We'll go on a quick break and get a word from one of our sponsors. Please stay with us. We'll be right back. Then I will explain why Ms. Efo is actually laughing. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
I used to care for the world's opinion. I used to fear their rejection. I used to beg for validation. And I used to wait to be seen. But the fire that burned in me was hotter. And the passion that lived in me had a voice of its own. So I stopped waiting and started to act. I stopped fearing and started to live. And when they thought I'd fail, I stepped into my power.
Because my time is now.
Amstel Malta, be your best.
All right, many thanks for staying with us. Sometimes I wish the audience or the listeners or those who are watching us across the globe can actually get a glimpse of what happens when we go on the break. But guys, glad today you're still with us. In case you just joined the show, today's conversation is with the U.S. Public Affairs Officer, Mr. Steven.
Stephen.
God, Stephen is going to flog me after the show. Despite the fact that we've had a lot of interaction in the past. However, we have been discussing the various areas and sectors of synergy between both countries, and of course, how impactful the bilateral relations has been over the last decade. And I must say many thanks for all you've shared thus far. But before we go further, let me quickly open our phone lines. For those who might want to be part of this conversation, the studio number to call is 00988-77400. And of course, we're streaming live on Silverbird and Real Talk Kike platform, both on YouTube page and of course on Facebook page. You know, I cannot help but, you know, say thank you to a personality like you. And the reason why I'm coming to that is the fact that I like the fact that not only do you represent the organization as a brand, but the fact that you've been of impact to quite a number of people who have come in contact with you. And trust me, I just don't give out this compliment because I know that I actually have to put a word to whatever I say. But with all that you've shared thus far, I know that the U.S. Consulate has been deeply involved in organization programs like you've shared thus far. You've spoken about the women empowerment, you've spoken about the startups and all of that. But you know, I also feel that the U.S. Consulate office have also promoted STEM education, which I feel that is one of the important things as of today, knowing that technology have come to play and come to stay. You're right. However, you know, I recall that your office also introduced drone soccer. Yes. I'm glad that we are seeing something that is related to soccer right now in Nigeria, which is also a means of stimulating students towards the interest of STEMs, fields, and all of that. But looking back, you know, I can't help but ask, how would you describe the impact of this initiative and how important is football right now in today's world in technology?
Well, it has a huge impact. And actually, you know, going back to the drone soccer, which is really kind of cool. You use drones and to try to get basically fly through kind of a loop, kind of like Quidditch in Harry Potter, if you've seen the movies. Yes. But we had the first ever drone soccer competition in Africa, in Lagos. And we weren't in Victoria Island, we weren't in Ikoyi, we weren't in Lekki Phase 1, we were in Agege. Agege. There you go. In Agege. And Alimosho. You know, with and that was really great because we really worked with schools that sometimes don't have access to the resources other schools do. And it was really wonderful to see. And I think we showed a couple of things. One is you don't need huge, expensive science labs and technology to promote STEM. We just provided a drone to 50 teachers. We provided lesson plans so they can just teach and walk into the classroom and teach about the drones. And then we also did training on solar panels, cell phone repair, recycling. And this really ignited the interest from the Lagos State Ministry of Education, who were our partners. And they are now trying to introduce more STEM education into the Lagos State school curriculum in over 1,000 schools. Because again, we showed that you don't need huge expensive stuff to be able to teach it. All you need is something to really electrify your imagination, to really let that interest flow. And not only that, but all of those teams were captained by girls. All of those, yeah.
More power to the women.
Exactly. So we have a GoFundMe site actually that we're trying to raise money to send that team, the winning team from that competition, to compete in the World Championships in the United States.
But Dami, apologies. You know, with what you just shared right now, and I know that yes, we have football. This kind of football is different from the one that we are familiar with in our own country. So I know that.
And this is American football too.
American football is a mega sport in the US, just like basketball. Sure. You know, and I know that your office actually launched OBN, which is the Organized Basketball Network in Lagos. You know, aside the female football drone initiative that was created. Do you have similar plans for American football in Nigeria? Do you think that's something that might actually sell? I'm using the word sell for a reason. Do you think this will work?
Well, look, the NBA is here, and when we were talking to the NBA, we were also talking to the NFL, the National Football League. Okay. So they are interested in promoting training camps and promoting those, and then hopefully maybe having some people drafted. There are Nigerians that play in the National Football League now.
Very true.
50% of all NBA basketball players from Africa are from Nigeria. So Nigeria is, the athletic potential is really large. And that's why the NBA is here. That's why the NFL is interested in here. Even the LA Dodgers, American baseball, were here a couple of weeks ago. And that's because, again, because of these partners. You mentioned OBN, the Organized Basketball Network. It's headed by a former NBA professional basketball player, Obinna Ezekiel. And he had brought back sort of that drive because he went to the States on a scholarship and it really changed his life. And so he wants to try to change people's lives. And that's exactly, and this is why we're doing this. And it's not just about basketball, really. I mean, sports are an entry to learning so many life skills. How to win gracefully, how to lose gracefully, leadership, leading a team, sharing, responsibilities,
generating revenue.
Well, I mean, obviously you're on the business side of this, Kike. You're all about the business here, and that's true. I mean, of course. I mean, there is, but again, for us, right? For us, we're not interested in the profits. NBA, NFL, for sure, but we're interested in that impact. And we did a basketball camp with 100 boys and girls last week in Port Harcourt, and again. Are all of those kids going to make it to the NBA? No. But did they learn something? Did they take something back with them? Yes. Absolutely.
Okay. I'm still going to stay on the educational platform, looking at the United States calling for creative ways to fund Nigerian universities. And again, the statistics of 13,000 Nigerians who are currently admitted into different universities in the United States. So I would say 2 weeks ago, your office organized an inaugural Nigerian higher education conference that brought about 30 Nigerian vice chancellors together with the American higher education experts. So what is this all about, first? And secondly, what are the key takeaways from this two-day experience conference?
That's a great question, Debbie Lola. Thanks for asking that. Well, there are 13,000 Nigerians studying in the U.S., but the market is huge. And we really think that there's going to be some Nigerians that are going to go to the U.S., but there are going to be some Nigerians where they find it a little bit financially difficult to do that. It's not just about the tuition, but it's about the accommodation and the flights and all of that. So we're really looking to partner with Nigerian universities to promote online graduate degrees, in which they get a degree from the Nigerian university and then they get a degree from the American university. And we're quite close to signing a few MOUs between the universities. So that was the point of that. Honestly, I felt like I was in the presence of like academic royalty because there were 30 VCs in the same room. I mean, when do you get that to happen? But that's the beauty, I think, of our brand is we have this convening power. And it was really frank discussions. We also flew in 3 American experts to talk about the American educational system. So it was a real two-way street because they learned about the Nigerian system, and then we learned, and then also they learned about the American sort of education system. And we also included the Nigerian University Commission, who attended and who came. Very courageously and very bravely, because they were facing, some tough questions from the VCs at some point. It was all civil, though, of course. But that was really great to have that support. Have that support not only from the universities that were at the public, private, federal, and state level, but also from the NUC, the National Universities Commission. Again, partnerships, bringing people together. And so I think we learned about how universities can exploit some of those revenue streams as well, using alumni, using other factors in which they can generate revenue. The online degrees is something very, very important to us. It all can be done now with technology. There's no substitute for going in person to an American university, to this kind of world-class education, but not everyone can afford that. So why not bring that to them? Closer. Exactly, bring it closer to them at a cheaper cost. They'll get an American degree. They'll be more competitive in the workplace. They'll have this kind of knowledge, this practical and theoretical knowledge that is so coveted and valued. So we really think it's a win-win. So the work is ongoing. This was really just a kick-off, this partnership, but it was really, really special to be there. And our American guests, too, were just astounded by the vice chancellors and their knowledge and the ideas that came up and the real frank discussions between all of the partners.
That's great.
That just takes me
All right,
to-
before you go, Ms. Efo, we have Anna from Abuja. Anna, many thanks for calling. What's your contribution on the topic at hand? Please go straight to the point. Anna, can you please reduce the volume of your TV set, please? Are you there? Apologies, I had to let that go. Yeah.
So in line with what you were saying, I could hear you. I listened to you. We're looking at time wars way back when we used to have a lot of exchange programs.
Sure.
So that's just what we're going back to all over again because it makes way for development.
Absolutely.
I'll take you away from education and I'll take you to the health sector.
Sure.
So we're talking about health diplomacy. Tell us about this. I understand there are quite a few U.S. government health-focused agencies, okay, and programs working with their Nigerian counterparts to improve the Nigeria's health sector.
Yeah, no, that
is critical for us here.
It is.
So tell us how this is going to be and what eventually Nigerians are going to benefit from this because we need it badly.
Yeah, no, I agree. And they're already really benefiting. I mean, we focus a lot, you know, in the United States government on sort of underserved communities. And so if you look at sort of HIV patients, we treat over, through the Centers for Disease Control, we treat over 80% of all Nigerians who have HIV, 80%. Wow, 8 out of 10 Nigerians. And we're very close, we think, in a couple of years. It's hard to tell, but we think we're pretty close to, you know, full epidemic control of HIV. And we're constantly at this. The CDC crisscrosses this country every month to all the different states, making sure that they are getting all of the new patients, getting people on these life-saving drugs, negotiating with the governments, the state governments, to ensure that the AIDS patients have access to these drugs, that it's free, et cetera. So that's.
I'm sorry to interject.
Please.
Are the numbers scary?
We're treating about, we are treating about 1.4 million. That's, you know, that's 80, and that's not the total, right? That's the 80% is 1.4 million people who have HIV. But it has not developed into AIDS because of these life-saving treatments, you know, that they're getting. But that's just, you know, and I think this is a real undersung, underplayed type of really engagement that we have with the Nigerian government, not only in HIV, but also in malaria. Since 2011, we have spent over 800 million in malaria prevention. That is in the drugs, that's 59 million mosquito bed nets, 130 million in the drugs, you know, that fast acting against malaria. Malaria is the biggest killer of children here.
Yes, absolutely.
And so that's why we really, you know, focus on that. We also have polio initiatives. Wild polio has basically been eliminated now in Nigeria, except for some very small isolated cases, because of the work, again, that we've done with our Nigerian, you know, partners. And it doesn't work without that partnership, but we're very, very proud of that health record, because we spend a lot of time on that. And I myself have been to many hospitals that have those AIDS patients, including kids, and seeing them getting that treatment and seeing their faces and seeing that they're healthy and smiling and walking around, and that there's hope. You know, Damilola, that's exactly the right word, that there's actual hope.
That's great.
All right, fantastic. Away from the health sector and all the challenges around there, let's come and talk about something that can brighten people's faces for those who are listening.
Like American football?
Like American
or Frisbee?
So, you know, earlier you spoke about how you've traveled across the globe, I mean across the states.
Yes,
you know,
and across the globe as a diplomat.
You've been to Ibadan, you've been to Oshogbo and a lot of states.
And I like Calabar because I love fisherman soup.
That's good.
Interesting.
Good stuff. Good
All right.
stuff.
So on a lighter note, you know, you've had an impressive, would I say, an eventful engagement in Nigeria with what you've shared thus far. I don't know who asked earlier regarding whether your tenure and the likes and all of that. You know, I just feel that at the moment I needed to ask you regarding how you have enjoyed Nigerian thus far, because as far as I'm concerned, I feel you fancied our clothing, our delicacies, our dialect. You know, I like the fact that you worked in here and you are able to pronounce F4 correctly. You know, not
call my full name.
yeah, and I feel that that's one of the thumbs up I'm going to give you in terms of learning how to pronounce names. Even me, that I'm Nigerian, I struggle with it. I can even sometimes.
Well, I mean, I don't get every name right, but I try.
Yeah, but it's very
impressive.
You need to see me when I'm pronouncing some names.
Like Stephanie.
No, I
have a very good.
I have a very good friend called Stephanie, and I just try not to know. But however, I need to ask you, which one is your preference point for you in our culture today when it comes to what delicacy? Quite a number of people talk about Nigerian jollof rice.
Of course. I'm not entering into that competition.
But guys, one else. I've also seen some of your pictures that have trended online regarding our African attire and the likes and all of that. So tell me your reference points for our culture today in Nigeria.
Well, I mean, look, Nigeria is an exporter of culture, not only to Africa, but now to the world. Sure. So you see, Nigerian fashion designers in the United States, Nigerian American actors. There's a show called Bob Hart Abishola in the United States. It's about an American man who falls in love with a Nigerian woman. And it shows kind of those funny kind of cultural kind of intersections between the cultures. This is on prime time U.S. TV. So Nigeria's time has really arrived. That American audiences who don't probably know anything about Nigeria, think about the American sitting in Kansas or Iowa, looking at Bob Hart Abishola and laughing at the humor of this kind of a context. So I think it's really, really, really wonderful. And look, I mean, Nigerians are doing great, great things.
We are very creative.
And you see a lot of Nigerian Americans in the United States doing very, very well. They work in government. They are deputy secretaries. There's a White House counsel that's Nigerian American. There's an advisor to Biden's COVID response team that's Nigerian American. The Surgeon General of the state of Florida is Nigerian American. So you're seeing Nigerian Americans starting to really take their roles, leadership roles in the United States. They are the most educated immigrant group in the United States, and they also are the wealthiest. So you take this Nigerian creativity, dynamism, drive, and then you put it in a system that rewards you for that, and that is what you get.
True.
That is what you get.
Absolutely. I'm happy, proud in Nigeria.
Many thanks for putting out that narrative, because it's something that coming from someone like you, I feel that we're
and it's true though. It's facts.
It's true.
Facts
on record.
Fantastic. Before my technical director start running commentaries in my ear, I say many thanks for being on the show today. Before
we're not going to throw the football. We're not going to throw a frisbee.
All right, let's do that before we go to the last segment. But you know what? Let's do that after the last segment. Again, many thanks for being on our live lunch show today. It's been an awesome time with you. But quickly, before we let you go, there's what we call trending story. The stories that bind us together, that interest us, and of course, the first trending story that caught our attention is that of Peter Obi's resignation. You might decide not to, comment if you're uncomfortable. But Ms. Efo, let me come to you quickly. What's your take on the first trending story regarding Peter Obi's resignation? It was actually trending as #1. What's your take on it? Yeah. Yes. On Twitter.
Kike.
Yeah. Thank you.
For Peter Obi, he's a full-grown man. Very intelligent. We had him on this show. Yeah. And I think he's a free moral agent. And if he is in a platform that's not going to help him actualize his vision, the earlier he moved, the better. And besides, I think he's going to make the primaries very unstable, especially in the South now, particularly the East. It's going to have an effect. I am not an expert in political affairs, but I think it's going to shake them up a bit. And for me, I think it's part of his strategy, because I'm sure no one saw this coming. So.
All right, many thanks for your submission. And I like the fact that you said no one saw it coming. And for me, I just feel that at this critical moment, resignation is a big decision that one will take, especially when you know that you are close to primaries. This is presidential primaries that we are talking about. So first off, it shows something is, there's this dissatisfaction or some sort of disagreement that have happened between Peter Obi and the party. However, I just also feel that, you know, there's this lack of ideology within our parties. You know, I'm sorry, let me come back to U.S. What's it called, parties right now. Hardly will you find somebody who is a Republican moving to, you know, I just feel that we lack a lot of ideology right now within our party. That makes it more frequent or more rampant that we see people just, you know, just move or defect from now and then to any party and all of that. So as far as I'm concerned, should you choose a party with clear-cut ideologies and principles? At this time, I wish that we can have a party that can actually define what ideology means within our political parties. Because right now, I really don't know the difference. I don't know the difference between APC and PDP, who are the major leading parties right now. I also feel that when it also comes to philosophy, you know, I feel that they do not align with any of the party members. Hence the reason why also that you will see that they are defecting from one party to the other. Again, there are rumors saying that it might be going to SDP, but for the records, let me put it like this. Yes, I like the personality Peter Obi. Yes, I invited him here to this show, and we all saw what he was able to at least, you know, analyze when it comes to entrepreneurship, when it comes to the vision of this country, which I feel that most times the leaders that we have today lacks that. However, I also feel that Peter Obi, who is willing to serve the country, when he came here, was able to, you know, analyze a lot of things that speaks about standard and principle about him, which is something also that I also feel that it lacks about it. Guys, I'm not promoting Peter Obi. I'm just stating from my own point of view when it comes to the man that was there to campaign for his presidential election. And this is a past governor, and records are there. I also value the fact that there's more to him when it comes to technocrats. I feel that the politicians that we have today cannot align with the regular people on the street. I'm sorry to say this. You know, it seems as if there's something that is not sound when it comes to entrepreneurship. And in this country, for us to take this country to another level, I feel that entrepreneur, somebody who understands economic transformation, is very key. Absolutely. However, I also feel that rumor has it, like I said earlier, that he's going to SDP. But whatever party he is going, I feel also, or I think that he has been able to build himself to a place where he can be called to become a vice president of this country. I also feel that because he has a strong personality of somebody who can have, who can be a vice president. Also, can he also be called to become a minister, to chair a department, maybe a ministerial role, maybe trade and commerce? I feel so. But again, sometimes I feel that when they are being appointed to champions of ministry, they do not put people where their strength lies, which is part of the problems that we are facing today. However, our parties, you know, in a nutshell, I feel that our parties needs to gather their axes together, and this forthcoming election, you know, it's time for Nigerians, you know, and to come together, focus, and remain, you know, just think about the person you want to actually cast your vote for, because we need the main flag bearer like Peter Obi. Again, I don't know why I like Peter Obi, but we need someone like him who can actually kind of take this nation to another place. When we look at Ghana today, it took one visionary man to take Ghana to where it is today. All right, I don't know if I can quickly take your own story, but let's go on the story before.
Yeah, no, she's definitely the politician.
You said the politician.
What did he say? What do you want to?
No, I mean, look, I mean, we don't take positions on obviously candidates. Yes. You know, again, we're involved in the process, but it's good. Look, healthy discussion about anything, you know, regarding politics and elections is always a good thing in any democracy, you know, depending on the parties and the candidates. I mean, this is what an open, transparent society does. We leave it to the Nigerians to decide who they're going to select as their leader. Our interest purely is it a fair process? I mean, that's really where
that fair process is what I feel that, you know, the U.S. Consulate actually did when it came to Atiku traveling a year or 2 years ago when he lacked, when he didn't have visa. It's not something I want to go into right now. All right, the second trendy story that caught our attention is that of Rochas Okorocha, you know, who was called in for interrogation after 24 hours. You know, Damilola, let me come to you quickly. What's your take on this?
Well,
it's so disturbing for me.
I think my thought basically is that the EFCC was created for a reason. And if you are found wanting on criminal charges or offensive money laundering, corruption. If they ask you, please, I mean, they had invited him and he turned down the invitation and it resulted into an arrest. So it is the rule of law. It's high time that our leaders started to respect this rule of law. You people created it for check and balance. So I see no God factor in this. Like I always say, the God in heaven is different from the Nigerian politician God. So I do not know. But in this case, let every man speak for himself. A mind with no evil should fear no evil. So that's it.
You know, the way you say, man with no evil fears no evil. You know, I see all this as a planned work. What do I mean by that? I cannot wrap my head around the fact that they wanted to whisk him away 2 days before primary. In fact, I heard that that day he was supposed to go for screening. However, I feel that, you know, is yet to be interrogated. You know, something is fishy, if you ask me. EFCC claims that they have been inviting him for a long time now, and that is yet to honor their invitation, hence the action of them breaking into his residence with fire power. I don't know about that. You know, I understand that the law permits that or such. I stand to be corrected, you know, in terms of if you are being invited over, if you do not honor it, they could break into your home, they could even pull down your home. Again, I stand to be corrected. I'm not a lawyer, but these are little things that I've been able to read up online, and I just feel that, you know, why would they want to break into his home? You know, I just felt that was the several invitation does not even warrant that for them to do that. Again, this is my opinion. In that case, that doesn't also warrant that they should actually, you know, be shooting into the air, causing chaos for one man. You know, is he a criminal? The answer is no. Has he been interrogated? Convicted? The answer is no. Is he armed? No. How come he's now being arrested as if he's now Shino Rambo? I really do not understand that. Also, till date, from the little information I've been able to gather, I understand that they are yet to even interrogate him ever since they've arrested. So I'm wondering, why do we behave like this? You know, when my co-host wants to tell that, they say, Kike, EFCC is your friend. Yes, I might have friends in the corridor of power. However, I feel that a court judgment as shown by Prince what's his name now, Prince Martins, you know, that he presented the court judgment on live TV on I think Arise, you know, and was saying all sorts on their platform. From the little, I actually stumbled on the video today. You know, I just felt that you know, evidence shows that some political actors, for lack of a better word right now, I would like to describe them, are trying to winch hunt him and purpose for the only reason they had, the only one that knows why they are trying to winch hunt him. As far as I'm concerned, I feel that they should make him go for a screening at the primaries, just like, you know, you have also shared as well that, you know, there must be transparency when it comes to politics and be fair in everything that we do. I feel that we must learn something from the U.S. Politics, because I see how they exhibit some level of civility, and that civility is what we lack in this country sometimes in relating to a lot of our politicians, how they display themselves even in front of those who are looking up to them. And I just feel that, you know, it is unfortunate that they were harmed, despite the fact that some people are saying that they didn't come there early with what's it called, approvals and all of that. I just feel that right now we all need to come together as members of the society and end all these shenanigans that is going on. It's just unfortunate that this is going on. I will continue to watch and see what goes on after the arrest, because as far as I'm concerned, this is so unnecessarily, and it needs to stop. And we need to understand that the international bodies are watching us closely, hence the reason why we are facing some of the challenges we are facing abroad. On that note, before
we're throwing the ball.
All right, let's throw this ball. Let's throw this ball.
Who's gonna catch it?
Okay.
She's more sports inclined.
Yeah, ready?
I'm ready.
Are you?
We can try that again.
Let's try that again. Can someone get it for us? Let me
somebody get that ball?
Can you get it for us, please? Where's the ball? Okay, that ball is right. No, don't worry. Someone will get it for us. Can you come?
Okay, I'm just going to pick it.
Oh, fantastic. Fantastic. All right, let's
throw it to me. How about that?
All right, let me show it to you.
There we go. All right, one more time. You ready? I think that. All right,
many thanks for being on the show today. Indeed, it was an awesome show. Having a personality like you, are very resourceful, I must say. And of course, the U.S. I feel right now that we do not want someone like you to go. If you ask me, let it just be his rumor. Yeah, guys, because it's adding a lot of value. Value is what we need in this country, and we need personalities like you. And I must say many thanks for all you've been doing thus far. It's been awesome. A wonderful time with you on this show. And of course, we wish you the very best. And I pray for wisdom for you in relating to Nigerians. You need a lot of wisdom, don't you think so?
That must have been running.
Well, you need experience. Thank you very much. Thank you all. Thank you so much.
All right. My name is Kike of Atanda-Owo. Bye now.